Hey guys, my name is Steve from Trim That Weed, and today we're going to talk about how to can tomatoes from a garden. This video will explore everything that you will need and provide a step-by-step process that will ensure your success in canning your tomatoes. So, make sure you stick around for that. What you're going to need. The things you need are the unblemished ripe tomatoes that you want to can, quart and pint jars, bottled lemon juice or citric acid powder, and jar lifter tongs. You should also ensure that you have a boiling water bath or a pressure canner, depending on the type of canning that suits you. Your water bath should have trivets or racks, whose use I'll mention as we delve into the process. Canning using a boiling water bath. The first thing you need to do is sterilize your canning jars. The best way to sterilize the jars is to dip them in simmering water and fill them with hot water. The water should cover 2 inches above the jars. Once you're done, let them sit for a while. As you wait, wash your tomatoes and peel them. You can use raw or cooked tomatoes. Cooked tomatoes are more suitable since they are less likely to float on top of the jar because they contain less air. You can also pack more cooked tomatoes into a single jar than raw tomatoes. An easy way to peel tomatoes is by dipping them in boiling water until their skin starts to split. Then you take them out and peel them using a kitchen knife. Or you can simply use your hands. After your jars have sat in the simmering water for a while, you'll pull them out using a jar lifter tong and lay them on a towel to prevent cracking. You then proceed to fill your jars with the peeled tomato. You can slice the bigger tomatoes so they can fit perfectly. Don't fill the jars to the brim. Instead, leave some headroom. This space will enable the jars to be sealed perfectly. Add lemon juice or citric acid powder for acidification and some boiling water. Lemon juice is convenient for canning because it has a neutral flavor that will not affect your tomatoes. When you're done filling the jar, you should wipe the rim. This is also to ensure that the jar can be perfectly sealed, and also because any leftovers around the rim can cause contamination. Take your sealed jars and set them into the boiling water bath. Your water bath should have a trivet or rack below, so that the jars don't touch the bottom. The corners of the jar should also not touch, to avoid cracking. Process the tomatoes in the canner. 40 minutes for tomatoes in pint jars, and 45 minutes for those in quart jars. When the time runs out, turn off the heat and let the jars sit in the water for a while. This is because a sudden temperature change can crack the jars. Double-check the seals once you pull the jars out, and label and date them appropriately. A canned tomato can stay good for an approximate period of 1 year. Canning using pressure canner. You can also can your tomatoes using a pressure canner. The canning process remains the same. You sterilize your jars as you wash and peel your tomatoes. Then you slice the bigger tomatoes into halves that can easily fit into the jars. After you've packed them inside the jars and left a headspace, you add bottled lemon juice. Once you're done, wipe the rim and seal the jar. The difference, however, is that once you've sealed your jars, you dip them in the canner and vent it, unlike in boiling water canning. Pressure canners are of 2 different types: weighted gauge pressure canner and dial gauge pressure canner. The pressure canners are vented differently depending on the altitude of the area. The canning should last for about 40 minutes. You should let the jars cool down inside the canners to avoid an immediate temperature transition that could cause the liquid to siphon out of the jar. You can can your tomatoes without having to add any liquid. However, when canned using water, the processing time is made a lot shorter. You should also note that peeling the tomatoes before canning is very necessary. The tomato peels often harbor bacteria, which can lead to ineffective canning. So, there you have it. Canning tomatoes is pretty simple, and it gives you an opportunity to enjoy them for months. Do you have any questions or comments? Make sure you drop them below. And like this video. We'll catch you next time.